Most photographers talk about gear, but it's the ability to tell a story that makes you a great photographer. Now you can do that with a single image, but you can also do it with several images that combined tell an even greater story, like the ones you see in magazines or online publications, or maybe even use on your own website. Today we're telling a story using one subject, but using 5 different shot types. Now I came here looking for swans, but there are no swans around. But then I realized that the best wildlife story is actually with these mallards. Sometimes the story is right at your feet. So this is where all the birds from the entire lake area has gathered to find an open space of water where they can still get some food. Yesterday we had beautiful lighting, but today it's all gray, heavily overcast, some fog in the distance, and what some photographers would call boring light. But let's work with that. So let's find the first photo. I have a 400mm on this camera and a 24-70 on this. In the bag I have a 20mm prime lens and a 105 macro lens as well. I doubt I'll use the macro lens and the 20mm, but let's see what happens. Now I would like to start with a portrait shot, because get a great portrait shot, not just an ordinary portrait shot, but someone that tells a little bit of a story. It'll likely be the one that takes the most time, together with shot type number 4, which we'll cover in a little while. We have a pair of mallards down on the ice here, tucking their heads back over the shoulder into the feathers, which looks really nice. There's also a couple doing that just over here, and they're just near the edge, and there's some snow in front of it, and I want to use that. So by lying down in the snow, I managed to get a shot of this pair of mallards with snow in the foreground and ice in the background, because I was so low to the ground, making all the attention come to the mallards. And I think that's what actually made this shot. Now I really love that this shot displays a couple already paired up long before the breeding season, with the male keeping a watchful eye to protect them from danger. And I think this could be a really good candidate. Yesterday, when the light was a little more exciting, a little more golden, I had one female mallard up against the tree, but the tree was so dark and it was still in shadow. So by just underexposing a bit, the darker midtones fell into shadows. And again, this level of abstraction makes everything about the duck. In general, for portrait shots, I prefer a shallow depth of field and isolating and excluding everything else. Now we're going for a detailed shot where we can show the viewers everything they don't have time to see or can't get close enough to see when they're just passing by these beautiful ducks. Now they have some beautiful texture in the feathers and color variation that you can't appreciate on a quick walk by. So that's what we're showing with this type of photo. All the things that the ordinary eye miss. Now there's a pair of really calm mallards that'll work perfect for the next shot type. I just have to get a little closer and a little lower. Then it could work. Anyway, for a detailed shot like this, you need to bump up the aperture to a higher f number in order to get that greater depth of field. You want as much from front to back to be sharp. That's really crucial to making these detailed shots work, in my opinion. Now, in this close-up shot, you can see small drops of ice stuck in the feathers, hinting at the tough conditions. Now, I must admit that with some type of species, it can be really difficult to get this detailed shot. You can't just walk up to a wild deer and photograph its eye, but try your best and see what happens. For the next type of shot, we need to take a step back and look everything from a little wider perspective. So when telling a story, we need to set the scene. And here we have like a park setting, which could be part of the story, but it could also be like, not right now, but earlier it was quite chaotic with all the birds in the water struggling for their own space. So this could also be like a story of struggling in winter. I did capture some shots earlier that could work for that when it was really crowded. Let's see what else we can think of. Now, coots are normally not that skittish around here, but we have to take care. We don't want them to waste their precious energy. Yesterday, the white-tailed eagle was covering these parts twice, and I missed it twice. I'm struggling a bit to make something meaningful, but I'll try to see if I can get a wide angle shot with these in the foreground and maybe show the entirety of this little open water area. Now this close to the ground shot clearly establishes the park settings, and with the wide angle it helps to get a sense of how close you can get to these ducks. Now let's take on the action shots, where your subject is doing something energetic. Many think of like hunting situations or a battle between species, but it doesn't have to be that dramatic. Actually, it can just be something that's like characteristic of the animal's behavior. For ducks, they do two things I have in mind. So first of all, when searching for food, they put their bottom up. That could be a shot type. I'm not sure they're like the shot that I'm after. What I really want is when they're cleaning themselves in the morning. First of all, they're like tending to their feathers, and then they're washing a bit or bathing a bit, and then they flap their wings or bask their wings, and it can look really powerful in the right light, which is what I had yesterday. Unfortunately, it was a really chaotic scene, and I lay down in the snow for 2 hours straight, just waiting for the opportunity. And I did get some great backlit shots of ducks basking their wings. So how does this tell a story? Well, if it don't take care of itself, if it's not able to, it'll be the next dinner of some white-tailed eagle or a fox or something like that. They need to tend their feathers, they need to make themselves ready for flying. This is what this last flap of the wings is actually telling us. Now for the last shot type, I think to tell a good story that shows all the aspects of the bird's or the subject's life, you could go with a shot of the enemies. I missed that twice yesterday. So then we could go with either abstract photos or signs of the animal being here. We have beautiful snow, so if I can find some duck tracks and not coot tracks, because they are all over the place, then that might be an option to show the presence of the animal without it being there, just hinting at the animal's presence. But you could also go with something completely abstract. Or what I'm going to do, I want to take a photo of the conditions that these ducks are facing. I'm going to focus on some of the ducks walking on the ice, searching for food. It tells us something about how hard it can be to get through the winter. Anyway, for the portrait shot and for the action shot, I used the exact same approach to getting that intimate connection with the subject. And it's all about how you position yourself, how you frame the shot, and the point of view that you get. And you can learn all about that in this video up here. That's all I have for you today. See you in the next one.